The reset has begun. It's quiet, it's numeric, and it's driving New Jersey's housing market toward a different tempo. Start with the ground beneath your feet. In November 2027-5, the Garden State counted 16,737 active listings. That was 9.79% higher than a year earlier, even as the total slipped 4.97% from October 2025. Sellers added 7,012 new listings that month. The median listing price locked in at $549,000, down a hair, just 0.18% from both last year and the prior month. Homes took about 46 days to sell, and 3,812 New Jersey properties showed price reductions, a 22.02% jump from a year ago, even as that number eased 0.14% from October. Zoom out one notch and the shape of the market sharpens. Across the country, November marked the 25th straight month of inventory growth. For the 7th month in a row, more than 1 million homes were actively for sale nationwide. Active listings were up 12.6% year-over-year in November, but still 11.7% below pre-pandemic levels. Fresh supply kept pace. New listings rose 1.7% from a year earlier, even as they fell 14.4% from October. Seasonality, not a stutter. Listings lingered 64 days on market nationwide, 3 days longer than a year prior, the 20th consecutive month of year-over-year slowing. The national median listing price stood at $415,000, down 0.4% from last November, and 18% of active homes carried a price cut. Rates framed the season. In November, 30-year fixed mortgages ranged from 6.22% to 6.26%. 15-year loans ranged from 5.49% to 5.54%. Not the frenzy of cheap money. Not the shock of 8%. A narrow band that reopens the bidding table to some, but insists on patience for many. The magnet across the Hudson intensified. In October 2027, 2,091 homes across New York City went under contract, a 10.4% leap versus the prior year. From September to October alone, new contracts jumped 20 to 9.4%, a surge that outpaced typical fall rhythms. Manhattan steered the ship with 1,060 contracts, up 11.5% year-over-year, and a powerful tilt toward the top, where sales in the priciest third of that market shot up 30 to 1.5%. Queens added 396 under-contract homes, up 17.5%. Brooklyn notched 580, slightly lower, down 2.4% year-over-year, but still a formidable engine of demand. Even with that pulse, asking prices didn't run away. The citywide median asking price hovered at roughly $1,050,000 in October, essentially unchanged from a year prior. Sellers calibrated. Homes sold for a median 97.9% of their last asking price, an average discount around 2.1%. And time moved. In Manhattan's financial district, the average days to contract slid to $80.07, down from $168 last year. Attention mattered. The top fifth of most viewed listings across the city sold for a median 100% of asking, while the least viewed tier sold around 90 to 6.7%. Renters felt the squeeze and the incentives. The citywide median asking rent in October was $3,950, up 8.2% year-over-year. Rental inventory was 2,409 homes, down 6.8% from the prior year. Manhattan's median asking rent stood near $4,600. Its inventory fell 11.5% year-over-year. Brooklyn's median asking rent rose 7.2% to $3,752 as inventory declined 4.0%. Queens saw rents climb 6.7% to $3,200 while inventory slipped 5.1%. Concessions rose across the 5 boroughs. 23.5% of rentals offered at least one break, like a free month. The Bronx was the standout. 43.2% of listings offered concessions, and it was the only borough with rental inventory up year-over-year, rising 24.4%. Place all of that next to New Jersey's November snapshot, and a pattern emerges. More choices than a year ago, steadier asking, slower sales velocity, and a rising tide of price adjustments. This is not the spring of 2021. It's a controlled burn. Drill into North Jersey and the market shows its seams. In November, Bergen County added 652 new listings, unchanged year over year, but down 11.65% from October. Passaic posted 244 new listings, up 10.91% year over year, and down 19.21% month over month. Morris put out 316 new listings, off 15.05% from last year and 27.52% below October, one of the sharper monthly cutbacks. Essex counted 360 new listings, up 2.27% annually, but down 11.76% from the prior month. Sussex contributed 184 new listings, up 12.2% year over year and down 6.12% from October. Hudson brought 340 to market, up 2.41% annually and down 15.84% month over month. Seasonal slowdowns pressed everywhere in November. The year-over-year splits mark where sellers stayed engaged. Pricing told its own honest story. Bergen's median listing price came in at $774,999, up 0.52% from last year, but down 1.54% from October. Passaic's $544,900 median rose 1.09% year over year and slipped 0.83% month over month. Morris registered a $699,000 median, down 0.13% annually, unmoved from October. Essex landed at $585,000, up 2.81% from last year, down 2.41% from the prior month. Sussex at $420,000, down 1.18% year over year, and also down 1.18% month over month. Hudson marked $600,000, 7.26% lower than last year, and down 2.03% from October. One region, 6 different tapes. Time stretched unevenly, too. In November, Morris listings spent about 38 days on the market, 5% fewer than last year, but 15.15% more than in October. Essex clocked in at 40 days, 10.23% fewer than a year ago, but 12.86% longer than in October. Sussex measured 50-1 days, 2.86% fewer year over year, and 6.25% longer month over month. Hudson sat at 45 days, 6.25% fewer than last year, and 13.92% longer than October. Passaic was the outlier where listings stayed on market longer than last year, and Bergen saw no year-over-year change. Every North Jersey county took longer in November than in October. The late fall slowdown appeared right on schedule. The year-over-year pivot, shorter times in most counties, signals that buyers are still there, just more deliberate. Price cuts pressed like a thumbprint. Bergen logged 200 reductions in November, 31.58% more than last year, but 18.03% fewer than October. Passaic had 76 reductions, up 35.71% annually, and down 40.63% from the prior month. Essex tallied 88 reductions, 10% higher year over year, and 38.03% lower month over month. Sussex saw 92 reductions, up 35.29% annually, down 8% from October. Hudson posted 172 reductions, 52.6% higher than last year and 10.42% below the prior month. Morris was the exception, with fewer reductions than last year, and even there, reductions fell 36% from October. Sellers are leaning into reality, not capitulating. A quarter step down here, a measured adjustment there. Now set this micro picture against the wider tri-state arc. In August 2020-2005, U.S. 2026, housing prices were up 2.9% year over year and unchanged quarter over quarter. Among states, New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey were in the top 5 for annual appreciation. North and east of the city, a forecast calls for a 6.9% increase in home prices for the metropolitan band that includes Stamford, Bridgeport, Norwalk, Fairfield, and Greenwich next year. Through November this year, Stamford's sales pace ran 6% ahead of 2024. The midpoint price there was $710,000 across the first 11 months, up from $650,000 in the same stretch last year. The street-level reality around the Manhattan orbit looks like this. A new listing on Duland Drive in Stamford, priced at $995,000, drew more than 900 views in under 20 hours. Some buyers are still cutting deals. A split level on Timber Mill Road sold for $70.50 a pound, below its $980 ask set in July, and a Norwalk home on Grandview Avenue closed about 20% under the original listing price. Others are still bidding up. A Palmer Hill townhouse on Havemeyer Lane moved for $200,000 above asking. A New Canaan Colonial went $100,000 above list. Within the same commuting ecosystem, both outcomes live. Micro markets reward precision. Back in the city, would-be buyers are meeting a market with more options and sharper pricing. In October, 3,539 homes were newly listed across the 5 boroughs, up 8.2% from a year earlier. Brooklyn alone added 1,006 new listings, a 17.5% rise. Homes for sale citywide tallied 17,243, up 12.8% year over year. Manhattan accounted for 8,966 of those, up 11.9%. Brooklyn had 4,239, up 11.2%. Queens had 3,009, up 14.1%. Time on market citywide measured 68 days. Manhattan took around 18 days faster than last year. Brooklyn landed near 56, 6 days longer year over year. Queens ran about 71 days, 16 days longer than last year. The gravity is strong, but it's disciplined. This is the causal chain as it hits New Jersey's front lawn. Mortgage rates dipped into the mid-sixes in November, giving buyers just enough oxygen to re-enter. Across the river, more homes went under contract, especially at the higher end, pulling attention and capital back into commuting distance. Rents remained elevated, $3,950 citywide in October, around $4,600 in Manhattan, keeping some renters in renting mode, but also nudging others toward the suburbs, where a $549,000 median New Jersey listing can look like relief. And with more listings live in North Jersey, 652 in Bergen in November, 360 in Essex, 340 in Hudson, sellers are trimming asks to match a buyer who now has choices. Signals suggest the return to office gravitational pull is part of the heat. Commuters can thread the Parkway or a Hoboken ferry and secure space that a Manhattan one-bedroom cannot deliver. The market is rewarding sellers who price into that truth. In October, New York City homes sold for a median 90 to 7.9% of their last ask. In New Jersey, a growing share of sellers dialed in cuts before waiting for that back and forth. Statewide, price reductions rose 20 to 2.02% year over year in November. In Hudson alone, reductions jumped 59.26% from last November. It's not just the city pulling on North Jersey. National inertia matters. In November, the nation notched its 25th straight month of inventory growth. Across 7 consecutive months, the active for sale count stayed above 1 million listings. Buyers are browsing more, and they're taking an extra 3 days nationwide to decide compared with last year. Those 3 days shape negotiability. Those 3 days incentivize a seller to shave 1.54% off a Bergen ask month over month, or 2.41% off in Essex to avoid a lingering listing in December. Not all signals are rosy. A view of the year showed broad cooling in asset values. More than half of U.S. homes lost value in 2025. And yet, the tri-state corridor, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, sat atop the appreciation ranks as of August. Two truths can sit together, a national come-down and a regional resilience, where jobs, transit, and capital stack thick. Renters fill in the rest of the picture. Citywide, rental inventory tightened 6.8% year over year in October. The newly listed rentals fell 2.7%. Concessions climbed to 23.5% of all rentals, a nod to new developments wooing tenants, especially in the Bronx, where 43.2% of listings offered sweeteners and inventory rose 24.4%. For a Jersey City condo seller, that means your buyer might be comparing a free month across the river to a price cut across the hall. For a Newark renter, it can mean waiting for a northbound spill while the local market gains listings and trims prices, county by county. Now put a line under northern New Jersey's counties. Bergen, 652 new November listings, flat year over year and off 11.65% from October. Median listing price $779.90, up 0.52% from last year. Price reductions 200, up 31.58% from last year. Days on market held steady year over year and were 5,506% longer than October. Precision matters in Paramus, Ridgewood, or Fort Lee. The incremental 1.54% month-over-month price slip tells you sellers are listening. Passaic, 244 new November listings, up 10.91% from last year and down 19.21% from October. Median listing price $544,900, up 1.09% year over year and down 0.83% month over month. Price reductions 76, up 35.71% annually and down 40.63% month over month. Days on market stretched compared with last year and were 18.75% longer than October. Buyers in Wayne or Clifton wield more time now. Sellers are meeting them halfway. Morris, 316 new November listings, down 15.05% from last year and down 27.52% from October. Median listing price $699,000, down 0.13% from last year and flat month over month. Price reductions fell year over year and were down 30% from October. Days on market were 38, down 5% annually and up 15.15% from October. In Chatham, Morristown, or Roxbury, list carefully and move early. The best priced assets still cut through. Essex, 360 new November listings, up 2.27% from last year and down 11.76% from October. Median listing price $585,000, up 2.81% year over year and down 2.41% month over month. Price reductions 88, up 10% from last year and down 38.03% from October. Days on market tracked 40, down 10.23% annually and up 12.86% month over month. Newark to Montclair, price discipline and early marketing win days. Sussex, 184 new November listings, up 12.2% from last year and down 6.12% month over month. Median listing price $420,000, down 1.18% from both last year and last month. Price reductions at $90 too, up 35.29% annually and down 8% month over month. Days on market were 50% one, down 2.86% year over year and up 6.25% from October. The rural-suburban blend gives buyers more breathing room and sellers more reason to calibrate. Hudson, 340 new November listings, up 2.41% from last year and down 15.84% from October. Median listing price $600,000, down 7.26% year over year and down 2.03% month over month. Price reductions 172, up 59.26% from last year and down 10.42% month over month. Days on market were 45, down 6.25% annually and up 13.92% from October. With Manhattan's median asking rent near $4,600 and citywide sales velocity quickening, Hudson rides a unique edge, a visible discount to city ownership and a premium over state medians, with sellers using price cuts to pull buyers through the Holland and Lincoln tunnels. The connective tissue is visible. In October, Manhattan registered 1,060 homes under contract, up 11.5% year over year. The Precious Third lit up, with sales surging 31.5%. Queens 396 contracts, up 17.5%, showed outer borough demand, especially in co-op clusters like Forest Hills, Jackson Heights, and Rego Park. Brooklyn's 580 contracts, down 2.4%, showed that even with more inventory on the shelves, buyers won't chase an ask that overshoots. Those exact same dynamics stretch into Bergen's 200 price cuts, Hudson's 172, and Essex's 88. When New Jersey sellers match their list to buyer psychology, homes move. When they don't, the Dom clock ticks past 40. The risk map outside our corridor points back into it. Markets in South Florida and parts of Texas are expected to cool, weighed down by natural disasters and rising insurance burdens. Remote workers in those states are projected to drift back toward office hubs. Meanwhile, a slate of places in the Midwest and Great Lakes, Cleveland, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Madison, are projected to heat up on affordability and perceived climate advantage. The common denominator for northern New Jersey? A commuter's leverage. Transit and proximity prime this market for any reshuffling of work patterns. What's next is already sketched out numerically. Expectations for 2026 call for 30-year mortgage rates to dip toward roughly 6.3% on average, down from a 2025 average around 6.6. At times, rates could slide below 6%, but not for long stretches. Existing home sales are expected to end 2026 about 3% higher than 2025. Rents are projected to rise around 2 to 3% by year-end as apartment supply thins, construction slowed from 2021 to 2022, and more people opt to rent instead of buy. Within that macro, the New York City suburbs, Long Island, the Hudson Valley, northern New Jersey, and Fairfield County are projected to be among the hottest housing markets in 2026. The spring home buying season is expected to be hotter than 2025, when rates averaged around 6.8% in the spring. On the rental side, expect concessions to remain a negotiating tool in the city as new developments fill units. In October, 25.6% of Brooklyn rentals offered concessions, in Manhattan 20.6%, in the Bronx 43.2%. That won't disappear overnight. For New Jersey landlords, that means keeping a close eye on amenity and price positioning. For New Jersey buyers, it means reading the rent-to-own trade-off with care. $3,200 in Queens median asking rent versus a $549,000 median New Jersey asking price paints one decision. $4,600 in Manhattan points to another. If you plan to list in Bergen or Essex in early 2026, the playbook is visible in October's Cross River data. Homes with visibility sold at or above ask. Citywide, the top 20% of most viewed listings closed at a median 100% of asking. Low visibility listings sold around 96.7%. Apply that lesson to your county. Professional photos, crisp pricing, and pre-market momentum can mean the difference between a December price cut and a January contract. If you're buying in Hudson or Passaic, the Dom trend is your ally. In November, Hudson's 45 days on market were 13.92% longer than October. Passaic stretched 18.75% longer month to month and stayed on market longer than last year. Pair that with county-level price declines. Hudson's median down 7.26% year over year, Passaic down 0.83% month over month, and the negotiating leverage becomes literal. Keep the outer frame in view. In August 2025, U.S. housing prices were up 2.9% year over year, despite a quarter that was flat. The long arc since 2012 shows annual appreciation every quarter. But there's nothing linear about this reset. Some Northeast metros are projected to see near double-digit price gains in 2016, places like Syracuse, Hartford, and Rochester, while some southern metros are expected to turn down in both sales and prices, including swaths of Florida. For New Jersey households, the path runs through what the numbers already showed in November: more listings up for choice, slightly cooler asking prices, and more days to make the decision. What will January and February mean for the counties that took longer in November? Seasonal cooling is normal. Every North Jersey county saw days on market rise from October to November. The more telling signal is year over year. Morris shaved its Dom by 5%. Essex cut by 10.23%. Hudson fell 6.25%. Sussex eased 2.86%. Bergen held steady. Passaic lengthened. That split, who got faster versus last year, who got slower, will guide pricing strategies in the first quarter. If you're in Essex at $585,000 median with a 2.41% month-over-month price drop and a 10.23% year-over-year speed-up, pricing one notch below the comps could trigger a faster contract. If you're in Hudson at $600,000 median with a 7.26% year-over-year price retrenchment, the buyer pool will ask for even sharper value. On the New York City side, October's borough breakdown remains the clearest leading indicator for North Jersey in the next 2 quarters. Manhattan's speed-up contract time dropping from 168 to 80 to 7 days in the financial district, and the priciest third surging, 31.5%, confirmed that upper-tier liquidity is back. Queens' 17.5% jump in contracts validates outer borough appetite. Brooklyn's slight 2.4% dip suggests buyers still enforce discipline. That combination, return of high-end liquidity and outer borough grind, has traditionally spilled directly into Edgewater, Hoboken, Jersey City Heights, and then across routes 3 and 4 into Paramus, Clifton, and Hackensack. The rental chessboard will continue to press on purchase decisions, with the Bronx increasing rental inventory by 24.4% year-over-year and leading the city in concessions at 43.2%, some would-be Hudson County renters will be tempted north of Manhattan. But the median asking rent picture remains stark: $3,950 citywide, $4,600 in Manhattan, $3,752 in Brooklyn, $3,200 in Queens. Against a $549,000 New Jersey median list, the math on ownership versus rent will keep many in the for-sale market hunt if rates hold around the low sixes and if their incomes track the improvement expected into 2026. There's also a human dimension to the reset: fatigue and urgency, often in the same buyer. Through November, Stamford's sales were 6% ahead of last year, and the midpoint price climbed to $710,000 from $650,000. In under a day, 900 sets of eyes landed on one $995,000 listing. Some buyers are raising bids to end the search. Others are negotiating beneath ask to reset expectations. The same emotions play out in Montclair open houses and Fort Lee high-rises. It's why New Jersey logged 3,812 price reductions in November. And it's why in October, New York City homes still closed at just 2.1% below their last ask. Sellers who start at the right number keep more of it. The broader script for 2026 is measured but meaningful. The term on the wall is the Great Housing Reset, not a quick price correction, but a years-long normalization. The forecast calls for mortgage rates to average about 6.3% in 2026, with occasional dips below 6%, but not a return to the 2 and 3% era. Existing home sales are expected to edge up roughly 3% for the year. Rents, where supply softens as new apartment construction remains slower than in 2021 and 2022, are projected to rise in the 2 to 3% range by year-end. Meanwhile, the New York City suburbs, northern New Jersey among them, are projected to lead the heat list, while several Sunbelt metros cool under the weight of insurance costs and shifting work patterns. So what does that mean for you if you're making a decision in New Jersey in the next 12 months? If you're buying, watch the county lines and the Dom clock. In November, a home in Morris took about 32.8 days, in Essex 40, in Hudson 45, in Sussex 51. Compare that to your budget's price band: Bergen's $774,999 median, Passaic's $544,900, Morris's $699,000, Essex's $595,000, Sussex's $420,000. Pair those with the November price cut pattern, where reductions rose year over year in 5 of 6 North Jersey counties. Degrees of freedom exists that didn't 2 years ago. Use them. If you're selling, price into the current. In June of a different year, you could feel the tide carry you. In November 2029, sellers in Bergen shaved 1.54% month over month to stay in the stream. Essex shaved 2.41%. Hudson trimmed 2.03%. In every county, days on market rose from October. Set your list to capture the first wave of attention. That's how you join the cohort that sells at or near 100% of ask. If you're renting, track the concession trend. In October, 23.5% of New York City rentals offered concessions, and the Bronx's surge suggests those incentives will stay in play. But inventory across the city fell 6.8% year over year, and Manhattan's inventory slid 11.5%. If you're in Hoboken or Jersey City, your competition includes a Manhattan landlord offering one free month and a Bronx landlord with new building incentives. New Jersey rent and condo pricing will respond in kind. The $3,200 median asking rent in Queens, the $3,752 figure in Brooklyn, and the $4,600 number in Manhattan create a gravitational range that local landlords and sellers will calibrate against. Base case for New Jersey through the end of 2026, a slow burn recovery that benefits well-priced, well-marketed listings, moderate buyer leverage via longer days on market and a more patient rate environment, and a northbound flow of demand from a New York City that is active, expensive, and increasingly balanced. Expect inventory to remain healthier than a year ago. November already marked 16,737 active listings statewide, up 9.79% year over year, and for price reductions to remain a normal part of the playbook after rising 22.02% in November from last year. Expect county medians to move in narrow bands, small year-over-year gains where demand overlaps with transit and schools, and small declines where inventory or asking prices outrun the buyer. Two things to watch. First, the path of mortgage rates through spring and summer 2023-6. The outlook pins the yearly average near 6.3%, with occasional dips under 6%. If those dips cluster during the spring selling season, existing home sales, projected to rise about 3% for the year, could front-load, boosting Bergen and Essex in particular. If rates instead hover above 6.5 through May, the buyer's patience will extend, adding days on market and nudging more sellers toward reductions. Second, the push and pull of New York City's rental market. In October, citywide rents rose 8.2% year over year to $3,950, with concessions climbing to 23.5%. If new developments continue to add units in the Bronx and significant concessions persist, 43.2% of Bronx listings offered them, some pressure will ease for renters. But with rental inventory down 6.8% citywide and Manhattan's inventory down 11.5%, rents staying elevated will continue to funnel buyers toward ownership in North Jersey, especially where a $549,000 state median can be financed at something near a 6.22% to 6.26 30-year note, or a 5.49% to 5.54% 15-year. This is a market of inches. 1.09% year-over-year rise in Passaic's median list, 0.52% in Bergen, a 7.26% year-over-year drop in Hudson, a 10.23% year-over-year acceleration in Essex days on market speed. But from those inches, trajectories form. The great housing reset won't be loud. It will be measured. In northern New Jersey, it will likely be persistent. Make your decisions with the numbers close and your time horizon clear. And if you want this kind of grounded, tri-state housing read in your ear when it matters, subscribe to stay with us.